Hello friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. Today I wanted to share with you a storage solution for your 6x6 designer series paper. So before we get started, just quickly I needed to introduce myself. I'm Rita here at Rita's Paper Motif, and I like to create card designs, scrapbook pages, and 3D projects. And I like to share them with you in hopes that you'll create as well and that you'll share your creations with those that matter in your life. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I wanted to share with you that how we store our designer series paper is all an individual thing. So it really depends on your craft room and how you like to store each of your items. But I've recently been kind of redoing my craft space, and I think we all go through that every once in a while. So I'm not doing any major structural changes or adding any real furniture. But as my product continues to grow, I find that I need a more a functional way to store that product, and the designer series paper is no exception. Now I am a little bit disappointed in myself because as I was reorganizing my craft room or my studio, I keep finding this designer series paper that I've had for a while. It's been retired, and I simply don't want to just throw it away. A lot of it I've given away, I've donated, but some of it I never got the chance to play with, and I feel kind of like I let myself down. So I decided that in 2025, I'm going to try to avoid that kind of thing. And what I realized was, even though I thought I was pretty organized, I have found that when I store my designer series paper, I need to be able to, when I'm thinking of what I want to create, I need to be able to look around and at a moment's notice see what I have. And I've always liked that. But putting it in a plastic container and putting it in the shelf that it goes in, sometimes I forget to open that plastic container and look and see what's inside. So I feel like I've cheated myself, and so I'm thinking that maybe that could be something that's happened to you, or simply maybe because you're trying new ways to store your paper. So I'll tell you that I like to scrapbook too, so cutting down all of my designer series paper to 6x6 or to any other size isn't something I've always wanted to do. So here's what I decided in my new craft space is that I'll have a designated spot for the 6x12s, and that's usually what I use in designer series paper on my scrapbooks pages, is I'll cut it down to 6x12 if I feel like it's something I'd want to use for a scrapbook. And then I'll cut the rest of it down to 6x6 because that is kind of what we use a lot of. I use a lot of, I should say. So I'm going to show you how I store it. So let's start out with the designer series paper that I'm going to be storing. Now this is the Unbounded Beauty of designer series paper. I've already used some of it, but this is what I had left. This is what I found in one of those plastic containers, and I had to look at the paper and go back to the catalog and find out the name of the designer series paper because I had already kind of forgotten. And so I thought, whoa, that's like a brain lapse. And I think in my studio prior to what I'm redoing now, it was functional, but I also made it that way because I knew I'd be undergoing some eye surgery, and so sometimes I just needed things to be out of the way kind of thing, and so sometimes they were very hidden from me. But it's a new life of vision, I guess. And so here's what I've decided. I saw a couple of people do a container or a package to store their 6x6. So one of them was our designer or Stampin' Up! Designer Rhonda Wade, so she did one version. And then I also saw May did a different version. And the only difference was that Rhonda Wade uses an 8.5 by 11, and May made it used a 9.5 by 12 sheet of paper to begin. So here's what I decided. I was going to make it work for me, right? Because both of those ladies had their package set up so that it was very labeled and was nice and neat. And I thought, okay, but I need it to work for me because there's a lot of steps I just don't feel are necessary for me to go through. So here's what I did. I took the hard thing, the tag board. Now this is a little messed up because it's been stored, but I took the tag board that the designer series paper came in. Now this was a 12 by 12 that I cut up to 6 by 6, and I'm going to use this. So I know, and I'm going to use May made its measurements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 12 by 12 tag board. I'm going to cut it down to 9.5 by 12. And so here's what I decided. I want this on the back of my container because I don't want to have to reprint that and redo that. I just want it there, right? I just want it so I can see. And here's a good example. This is using Rhonda Wade's measurements, and I'll put those in my blog on the tutorials there, and so you can go and check out those measurements if that's what the size that you want, or if that's what you want to use. Now I would tell you if you're going to use that measurement, and Rhonda Wade would tell you too, be sure to use your basic white thick paper because well, that's what you'll need because you want it substantial to hold up to your paper storage, right? So this is the 12 by 12. Now I already know that I want 12 and I want this in the back. So I'm going to leave this to be what would be the 12-inch side. And wait, I just told you wrong. I'm going to flip it because I want the 12-inch side to be the height, right? And so I know I want 9.5 by 12. So here's what I'm going to do. If I take this arm out on our trimmer, and I'm going to put this at 9.5. So there's 9.5. So you can clearly see that this printed part is going to be on the back, right? And so I'll just go ahead and I will just slice it. Now, when you're cutting this tag board, it's really very thick. It's like poster board, right? So you want to use maybe one of your older blades that you took out because it was a little bit dull, and go ahead and use that so you don't, you know, dull your fresh blade, right? All right, and now we're going to score this. We're going to score it at 2 3/8. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 3/8. There's 4/8. So there's 3/8. And I'll put it up so you can see. We're going to go ahead and score that at 2 3/8. And at 2 7/8. So there's 6/8. So there's 7/8. And we're going to go ahead and score that. And then I'm going to just flip it over because we want to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to flip it over. And again, this is going to be at 2 3/8. So there's 2 8s, 3 8s right there. And then 2 7/8. So there's 2 7/8. And we'll go ahead and score that. All right, now on the bottom part, and this is kind of where you need to pay attention. On the bottom part, so we want this to be the bottom. On the bottom part, we are going to score let me see here. we're going to score at 2 3/8. I almost messed up there. Let's see, there's 2/8, 3/8. So same thing. And that 2 7/8. Okay, so that's all the scoring that we need to do, but there is some more cutting that we need to do. Now, because this paper is kind of thick and because I want an opening in the front, I am going to measure this. This is the top part, remember? I'm going to measure that at 1 inch, and so I'm just going to take a pencil. Let's see here. Where is my pencil? Right here. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to put that score line right on the guide, and then I'm going to just kind of pop this up a little, and I'm going to make a little notch at 1 inch, and that's fine to go ahead, and you don't have to worry about that because we know that this is going to be the inside and you'll never see that, but you can erase it if it bothers you. And so then we're going to, I moved it all the way over because we have 1 inch on both sides, right? So that's helpful. You don't have to do a lot of flipping. And so I'm going to make another mark at 1 inch. All right, then I'm going to take that mark, and I want to, so here's that first score line right here. I want to cut at the diagonal there. So I'll move my scoring blade. I'm just going to go ahead and cut. And that would be like a long triangle that you're cutting off. And then I'm going to do the very same thing on the other side. So here is that score line right here. And here is my 1 inch. So let's go ahead and score. I should have turned the paper on the other side, shouldn't I have? All right, so that's really all we need our handy dandy trimmer for. Let's move that out of the way. And now we're going to be doing some some folding and some adhering. So let's get our bone folder, but we're going to go ahead and just fold on those score lines. So you will need your bone folder or something to kind of reinforce those fold lines, because again, we are using some kind of heavier cardstock, and yeah, just go ahead and work these fold lines, score lines, and with the white cardstock, sometimes you have to, on the video it's hard to see those lines, but you just, there they are. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of cutting because we want to make some tabs. So we're going to take, hope you can see this. So we have a score line here and a score line here and here and here, right? We want to cut these tabs. So we're going to cut all the way up to that second score line on both of these. We're going to cut that, well, it's actually two rectangles, but we'll make it one big one. So we're just going to cut that, and I like to cut away the fold lines, and then you can clip it. You're going to go ahead and clip it. So I like to just move my paper back like that so that I can see it, and I'll go ahead and clip it. All right, we're going to do the very same thing on this side, and so we'll cut up to that second score line again, and then we'll fold this back on that fold line. That also will let you know if you've cut all the way up to that score line, right, when you fold them back. Anyway, we'll go ahead and cut that. We don't need these. And the thing I like too is that I'm using something that is sturdy, and that's what my pages, my designer series paper came in anyway, so I know it's sturdy. So we're going to take our adhesive. I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm just going to put some adhesive right here. Whoops, it came out a little strong there. And I know I'm going to be gluing this. And the thing is I know that there's some spots here on my tag board, but I wish I had seen these videos sooner, because I could just, as soon as I got my designer series paper, I could just go ahead and house it. Anyway, you're going to go ahead and press this down. That's the glue against that that side there. I like to put my fingers up there and you know, make sure that it's all touching and adhered to, because you have this part and this part. So if this expands itself, then you're going to be off. So go ahead and pull it, because we want this to go like this. And I'm going to go ahead and go on the inside. You could take your bone folder if you wanted to. I'm not going to do it right yet. I'll just use my hands. And then we have something like this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put my glue right in here. Try to get not super close to the edge, but a little bit, because when I showed you that this, let's see, where is it? When I showed you the this that I used with Rhonda Wade, I just cut out that square part on the back of the tag board and put it on my paper pack. I will tell you that this is the first one I made, so it's a little, could have been better made, but I just wanted to show you the back of it. Better planned is maybe what I should say. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and bring those tabs over. And again, we want to go inside, and we want to make sure those corners are flush. This just helps so that you don't have anything here on the bottom, so that it'll slide on your shelf. And it will cover up some of this, but I'm going to show you how you can save that item number. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the glue here. This is a good way too, if you have some leftover cardstock that maybe was a 12 by 12, you could use that too if you wanted to. But this works just fine. You don't need to put anything on the back because it's very sturdy. And then I can go ahead and put my paper, my designer series paper in. And here's another thing that I'll do. So it just fits right in there like that. And I can put my scraps in the back. And so, you know, if I'm looking for something, some scraps or something, then I can, let's see, what did I do? There we go. I had a scrap already in there. So then you can just take your scraps and put them in the back. So I just store them in the back, and then when I'm looking for something like this, I'll just pull out that pack. I'll show you more, just a minute. Okay, and there they are. And then you can take your labeler, and that's what I did. I just did the unbounded, sorry, I have a cut here and this keeps coming off. I have, I just took my labeler and I just put the name of the designer series paper. At first I was thinking I would put 12 by 12, so I know it originally comes in a 12 by 12, but it says that on the back. And the reason I'm doing the labeler is because, I'll show you in just a second. Let's go ahead and peel this off, and I'm going to put it right here on the side of my box. So there is my label. It has the item number. It has the name of the designer series paper. if I needed to see what it came in and how many sheets, then it's all right back here. All the colors that go with this designer or that coordinate with this designer series paper is also back here. So really pretty much everything I need is on here. If I wanted to put another label here, I could, because I did do some of the containers that, and I just wrote it in handwriting, but because I want, want my studio to look all nice and everything, I'll probably relabel it here with the label maker. But there is that. This is the one that's made out of the tag board, and here's an old tag board. I didn't want to cut it up because I also have a habit of using it for the one sheet wonders. So this is something I could have used for my perennial lavender that I didn't, because I want to save that. I want to save that one sheet wonder plan. And so here is the timeless plaid. Now this does come in 6x6. I haven't made the label for it yet, and I took off that the backing off of the tag, off of the, the thing that's printed, because this came in plastic, right? So I just cut that out and just put it on here so you can see that it's kind of taped on with some tear and tape. And then when I put the label on here, then what I do on my shelf is I stick them just like this. So this is the difference in the side. This is using Rhonda Wade's measurements, and this is using the one or the design that I kind of took from Made It's measurements. But you can see how it's a little bit whiter, and also it's a little bit sturdier. And I did use the basic white thick on here. So it's up to you. We don't always have, if you get your 6x6 pads, they don't come in this tag board, right? So you would be using your cardstock. And so if you have a 12x12 cardstock, you could definitely use it. I have used some of that, but I'll tell you that it's old cardstock that maybe is retired or something, and it's not going to be all white. So if you want all of your colors to be universal, you want the same color for everything, then you're going to probably want to just kind of invest a little extra in the cardstock that fits your color desire. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you today. I hope that this helps you with your organization in your studio, and I might do a tour of my studio in the future, but not right now. I'm just kind of putting everything together. So if you want the measurements and everything, please go to my blog, and I would be more than happy to share those measurements with you, and then you can use it as you want. So thanks so much for visiting me today, and from Rita's Paper Motif to you, have a good week. Bye now.